think we're live again. So yeah, we're doing Sunday evening as well. It's all worked out in the end, hasn't it? Welcome back everyone to another Vector 3D live stream. The printer is not here, it's down there, because today we're going to be working on a little bit that goes on top of that. So that's going to be the EVA extrusion hot-end assembly. Pretty excited for getting on with that. Let's just wait while people arrive a bit, make sure everything's working right and we have no audio problems or anything like that. And then we can generally get started probably. So welcome everyone that hasn't been to a live stream of this before, and welcome back to everyone that has. Obviously yesterday we finished off with, what did we do? The bed. We did the final dancey on the bed, so we got that kind of 3-point movie thing all going really quite nicely. Obviously there's no actual electronic powered motion yet, and I don't think we'll make that quite today either. We'll see. Don't know how long any of this really takes, so we're making it up as we go along. Well, we're following the instructions, but I have no idea how long it will take. So, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Cool, sounds like everything's working fine and everybody is here and turning up. So if we move over to our standard instructional view where we have all the different camera angles, you can see the assembly steps that we've gone through already. So 1, 2, 3, oh well, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 are all complete. And then now we can move on to this part, which is EVA to carriage for BMG and E3D V6, which is fortunate because that's the extruder and hot end that I'm using. So that's worked out rather nicely, almost like it was deliberate. So that's the plan. I don't know if we'll make it into the wiring and firmware today, but it will be covered. So if that's what you're interested in, you can like subscribe and whatever. And then when I do that, you'll get notified and you'll see all that stuff coming up. Yeah, there's for those wondering if there's going to be a print today, it seems really unlikely at this point. There is still really quite a huge amount of work. So obviously we've got the hot end and extruder. That's going to be today. And then we need to create the panel because there's the interface panel that you mount the electronics and stuff on doesn't come with the kit. So we've got to make that. Kind of started marking it out, but that's going to I'm going to try and do that on the stream. That might not go super well, but we'll see how we go. And then we've got to mount all that. We've got to set up all the wiring and make sure that's all correct. Then we have to configure all the firmware and then probably do a bit of calibration and then probably printing. So there's going to be quite a few little sessions before we get that far. But I'm sure each and every one of those will be exciting and interesting. So by all means, stick around. I see Voron parts. Are you going to compare the two? That's sort of ish the plan. Yeah, there's a box of parts here. We'll see how we go. I might do that. I might not. I'm not totally decided at the moment. It would be quite a cool comparison though, wouldn't it? So it might be worth doing. We'll see how we go. That wasn't, when I was looking at the two, that wasn't necessarily the point. But I guess that would be quite valuable for those looking at those two options. So there's a maybe there. Mikhail, well done for making it. Good to have you here. And Pavel is here too. Yes, so before we get started, let's have a very short message from the sponsors and we'll hear a little bit more about them later. Just 10 or 15 seconds, so stick around. This live stream would not have been possible without our sponsors, RapRig, Duet 3D and 3D Printz. So a big thank you to them for supporting the live stream. Carry on watching to find out more, or you can follow the links in the video description. Wonderful. Thank you very much, of course, to the sponsors. None of this would have been possible without them, so it's great to have them supporting the channel. So, what are we getting started with? EVA. So I'm probably not the best person to introduce EVA as a concept. This is Pavel's work, so I would highly recommend heading over to the documentation page and reading a little bit about it there. But it's, I mean, there's a kind of summary here. It's a modular kind of system which allows for all sorts of different hot ends and extruders to be mounted off a kind of modular, what do you call it, a common base plate kind of feature. So while I'm going with the E3D V6 and a Bondtech extruder, that's not the only options. You can have a Mosquito. I think Copperhead is either already supported or coming soon. You can have, I think, what's the Dragon Hotend. So I mean, there's a number of different options of extruders. You can have like the E3D Titan, the BMG, the Orbital, one of those. So yeah, lots of different options, and we're looking at the V6 and Bondtech here. And Simon's here as well. Welcome back, Simon, again. Your own printer, or are you building it for someone? No, this will be mine at the end of this. So kindly provided by RatRig for most of the machine, and then we had the Duet board provided by Duet 3D and the Bondtech provided by 3D Printz. So you'll hear a bit more about them in the longer sponsor segments a little bit later in the video, probably in around 40 minutes in when there's a lot more people here. The amount of people in the stream, weirdly, you'd expect it to kind of go up at the start and then be steady-ish, like people will come and people will leave, but it'll stay about the same. But over like the last few streams, the number just like starts at like 15 or 20 and then just goes up and up and up the whole time. It's really strange, but there you go. I guess that's the way it is. So yes, probably not looking at the printer straight away. Let's get started with some smaller parts for the EVA. So I've had the parts provided to me, but it is open source, so you can print the parts, get those. I don't need that. What am I doing? You can get the parts and print them yourself. Don't need that yet, don't need that yet. We'll be needing this, and we'll be needing this. Make sure my address is not on anything. No, so and then maybe some stuff out of here. Let's just have a quick look. I can't remember what's in this box, so double check. Well, that's a step motor. I think we'll be needing that. Fans, I think we'll be needing those. But why is there a short? Does anybody know what this is for? Somebody must know. I'm sure it's supposed to be there. So we've got the BL Touch as well. And I think that's all we need at the current moment. Oh, for the spool holder. Bizarre, okay. Oh, is it used as like a screw? Spoilers for later on. We'll get to that when we get there. It's pronounced EVA rather than EVA, is it? Does it? Pavel, well, how are we supposed to pronounce it? Is it EVA or EVA? I've always seen it written in all caps, which made me think it was an abbreviation for something. So I've always been, in my head, it's always been EVA, but I guess I'm quite happy to be wrong. So, okie dokie. Yes, so it's EVA. Ah, okay. EVA. EVA it is. What am I doing? So, if you're using a limit switch as an end stop, attach it to its block part and 3x6mm screws. I'm using end stops. I guess I could configure it for senseless homing style, but we've got end stops, so. As far as I'm aware, senseless homing actually not as precise as end stops. EVA. Open E, EVA. Okay. So more like how in English is EVER would be ever. It's closer to ever than EVA. Right? Have I got that right? So is there a little... Okay, there's like a long piece that holds the end. I might just pull all of these parts out. Kind of wishing I had a slightly wider angle lens on this close-up one today. Latin E. I have no idea. My language skills, as a British person who only ever really learned English, is we just get, yeah, pick of the draw really. So maybe I'll just avoid saying it so I don't get it wrong constantly. Let's mount this end stop. So we've got a bunch of screws. Label's worn off of this, but that looks like the screw. Ah, there is a separate EVA. EVA. There's a separate bag for the Extruder and Hotend parts. So let's go with this. There we go. M3x6. I was bang on with the EVA comparison. Excellent. Good. Close enough. So we've got all sorts of different lengths. M3, 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 M3. M2. M2. M3 by 10. M3 by 40. M5. M3 by 8, literally every possible length of M3. Right, so we've got 10, 12, well 8, 6, 10, 12, 16, 20, 25. Oh, we do have 8s. M3, 8, 10, 12, 16, 20, 25, 35 and 40. Cool. And then nice and organised now. So, M3x6. Does this have nuts? It looks like it just threads into the plastic, so... Especially with the length of these screws, I think you'd be hard pressed to... Did I just get one out? Two. No. So this is going up that way, and that's going up that way. Mine's only just aligning with those holes. Let's see how we go. In fact, what I might do, now we're working on slightly smaller things, it can be very easy to over torque things with a hex, like Allen key style. So I'm probably going to, for today, switch over to the old iFix. Ooh. The old iFixit kit where we've got all the different bits and it's just a little bit easier to handle. That's my head today. Thank you for asking. It's fine, thank you. It hurt a little bit, just like soon after the stream, but after that, by the time it was this morning, it was fine. This doesn't look ideal. The solder points on the back of the end stop switch are quite large. It's not quite matching the clearance on the part, but it's pretty close. It's not going to be a problem, I don't think. So how do we get this in here? Have I done this wrong? No. So that then goes on here. It looks like we're not using nylox now. Just going to get a screw of any random length to pull this nut into this gap nicely. So it attaches with an M3x8. Have I got that the right way around? No, I have not. That is that way and that goes this way. Oh, I've put it in upside down. Have I? This looks weird. I think that's right though, right? Oh, come on, camera. I've just realised I've remembered a focus setting on the camera, which may be what's causing it to not focus very well. The focus mode can be can't remember how to change it. Pretty sure that doesn't come up on screen. No. Here we go. Because it has an area focus instead of just point focus in the middle. So now if I hold that up to the middle, it's closer. No, there we go. Is that right? I wasn't expecting it to be lower down there. Okay. Cool. Don't know how much delay there is in the stream today, so I'm being a little bit conscious of that. So now we need some nuts. 2, 3, 4. This is really thin, so we've got to be a bit careful. But again, going to use a screw, maybe a shorter one this time, just to pull the nuts into place. I'm going to get a very gently drill this hole out. Very, very gently. There we go. That's snapped. Yeah, that was just trying to pull the screw in. It's not even... I think that part might be a little bit too thin. It's not managed to pull the nut even all the way in yet, and it's snapped. I don't know if I can... Ooh. Okay, it's actually... It's snapped on both pieces, unfortunately, but I think most of the strength is still there, so I think we'll be okay. Super glue may be a good idea. What does this part do? It looks to me like it's going to be like a mount for the BL Touch or something. But maybe I'm totally wrong. I have no idea. Ignore that part. Okay, we'll just not worry about it. And so we should also have some nuts going into the end over here. I'm going to just make sure these are... That drill bit I'm using is just 3.2 millimeters, so it just gives a clearance for the threads, just to be doubly sure. Yeah, sorry, I keep saying EVA because that's what it's been in my head. This is the first time I've said it out loud, so EVA. It's really weird having saying words that are obviously supposed to be pronounced in a way, but having never heard anyone else say them. Right, so that's that. It's taken me a long time just to put some nuts in so far. Attach the top to the MGN carriage. Oh, darn it. I was kind of hoping I'd be able to do more than that before getting the printer back. Let's just put it to the side for a minute and we'll see if we can do a bit more. No, okay, we're going to need to put some nuts in some parts, so we'll get that lot done before we start bringing the printer back. English is the biggest mess probably of any language. You can have like 3 words, 2 words spelt the same but said differently. Or multiple words that are spelt differently and said the same, like there, and there. Nuts. I believe technically in English there's not actually correct ways to say anything. The way you say things changes over time, obviously based on accent and things as well. There's a commonly accepted way, but not necessarily a correct way or incorrect way. It's going to be another one of those episodes where there's just lots of putting nuts and screws into empty holes. Yeah, with English it's like if you can convince someone it's correct, then it's correct. Where else do we need nuts? Down in the bottom here. That's a bit more difficult. How do we get that in there? I'm going to need some tweezers or something to get these in. Oh, that was close. I feel like there should be a way to slide this in an orientation that it will go in. I think there is. There we go. There we go. Let's try that suggestion. So push those in from the top while having the nut on a 45, 35. Oh, I see. So you put that on here first, and that gives you a bit more leverage to get it in the hole. There we go. So we're just slightly into the gap now, so we should be able to get a screw from the other side. Put it the rest of the way. There we go. Ruben, sorry, but can we keep it to English, please? Thank you. Okie dokie. So, where's next? One for there, three for there, one for there. Looks like M5 nuts in the holders. It looks like my parts are all green, whereas the ones on the image are some and some. So we've got 2 of those, M5 nuts. How are we going to pull these in? This is the only length screw left. I'm not sure. Oh no, there is just about. Oh, that's. Can't push that through, so we're going to need to enlarge that one as well a tiny bit. Cool, this is going to be a bit risky. Not liking how that could turn out for my fingers, so I'm going to grab a clamp quickly so I can hold it in place while I drill it out. The idea of drilling my hands is not something I want to entertain, really. Oops, daisy. It would be great if I didn't grab the quick release part of the clamp, wouldn't it? Right, So that should now slip really perfectly through there. Put a nut on the end, sort of, hopefully. And that's still not going on. I do have a, don't want to really pull the nylock knot on. I'm going to try, I want a standard M5 knot without the nylock in it. I should probably use what's in the kit rather than using my stuff, so we're going to carry on with the nylock. And this is not very easy, is it? Is there anything else in other bags that might help here? Because I can't get that nut into there. I can't tighten this because I can't push the nut in at all. I suppose I can use this and try and grab this. We've reached the limit of this socket. That was not good. Bugger. Oh dear. So, in the process, let me show you what I've done. In the process of putting that in, that's cracked through here, and now I can't turn either. That's royally screwed, that is. Tolerance is maybe a little bit tight on that one. Not quite sure how I'm going to solve this. I'm probably going to need a new one. I suppose, in fairness, it does... It does sort of indicate assembling it into the thing, but I mean... I was trying to set up with all the nuts before assembling that into there. This is now getting really, really hot. Yeah, definitely got working printers, that's for sure. How long does one of these take to print? I can maybe fire up the Prusa Mini quick. Yeah, those are... I don't know what the other one's like. Yeah, they're not going anywhere close. Okie dokie, so we're going to have to make a slight detour here, aren't we? Right. Let's slice something. Well, I'm going to... My Prusa Mini sits in a little cabinet so it doesn't get dusty. So that will probably be the only printer. The Mark III's down here, I can maybe try both at the same time. Right. So let's find... See ya, Computer Techie. Thanks for joining us. So now is the time we need to find out. I'm going to have to go find these STL files. I've not actually looked through them before, so this could be interesting. So we're looking for files and printing, I guess. It's the tension slider 9mm belt M5. So this looks like, so we want the whole GitHub thing. Is anyone experiencing buffering? Apparently the stream is having issues in some way. Oh, because I'm now downloading a file at the same time, that's probably why. Not easy. So EVA page is going to be easier. Let's go there. Ever, not EVA. Sorry. There we go. Download this. And stream's probably going to go weird again. Don't worry about it. I've got this file now. What was the name of it? Tension slider 9mm belt M5. The problem is this. I wonder if I can just put it here and that'll explain. Is that, I don't want to. Tensioner slider, 9mm belt M5. Cool, okay, I found the file. Now, okay. So, let's go. Does this work? We're gonna. Okay, layout's probably a little bit wonky, but that is the slicer. So if we pull in the part, so I'm going to do it for the Mark III. The Mark III is sitting behind me, so I'm going to just get that preheated for PET. I'll probably do one for the Mini at the same time, so we got two. It'll be black, so it's probably the color it's meant to be originally anyway, so that should be fine, I think. What's the print orientation? Looks like that. So what sort of time are we looking at for that? 28 minutes. 0.2, is 0.3 okay for this? 20 minutes. No, there's no extra filament with it. So let's try, there's perimeters. Point 0.3, okay. That puts a big gap on this side if we do 0.3. What's the standard line width setting? Because Prussia's obviously they put those at like 0.45. Perimeter's at 0.5 for the 0.3 profile. Is 0.3 going to be, is that line width setting going to be okay, or do we need to reduce it to 0.4? Because it looks like it's going to miss that wall. Can you detect the thin walls? It's not PLA. and I've increased perimeters. I don't know what the default perimeters is, so. Trouble is, this is just going to make a really weird thin wall single line extrusion there, which is not going to be particularly useful for anything anyway. So let's get rid of that. And then you have this weird bit here, so we do need that. So we do need that. Move this to 0.45. Thank you, Pavel. It's PETG, but I don't know. Let's just change all of them to 0.45 for now. I mean, the color is green. I don't know exactly what green or whose filament it is, so. Something weird going on here. Oh, Miguel is here. Good evening. So yeah, I'm thinking 16 minutes, that should be pretty good. Hopefully that should fix this problem that I've made. So if we export to here and eject. Now we have to really fingers crossed that the Mark III is going to just do this first time. So, okie dokie. So that's on that machine. I'm going to slice one for the Mini as well, maybe. That will only do 0.25. The line widths are more suitable. Where's the arrange button gone? Oh, it's over here, isn't it? Of course it is. We're going to change it to 3 perimeters. Hopefully that's going to be enough. 3 perimeters. It is almost solid because the walls are quite thin anyway, so. I'm just going to go grab the card for the Mini and I'll be back in 2 seconds. The the Mini is actually plugged into orange at the moment, so This one looks like it's going okay. Let's export that. Tension idler. Right, I shall go and start this one too. Back in 30 seconds. Oh man, yes, sponsor time. What a good suggestion. Thank you for reminding me. So, yep, just a quick, it'll be 2 minutes. You won't miss a thing. There'll be nothing happening while you're gone, so don't worry about that. Just a quick 2 minutes to say thank you to the sponsors of today's live stream. So we'll be back in 1 minute and 55 seconds. This live stream would not have been possible without our sponsors, RatRig, Duet 3D and 3D Printz. The Duet 3 Mini 5 Plus balances value and performance. It's focused on small and medium-sized machines for those that want the quality and reliability of a Duet control board but don't want the high price or high power output of the full-size Duet 3 mainboard. The Mini 5 Plus provides 5 onboard drivers and the normal complement of heaters, fans, I/O, etc. There are Wi-Fi and Ethernet variants with the option of using a single board computer, like a Raspberry Pi, for control, in the same manner as you might with other Duet 3 boards. 3D Printz is a UK-based filament supplier, but in recent times have become so much more. They're now a great destination for finding name brand components from all over the world, such as the Anklab's BL Touch, Wham Bam Systems, flexible build plates, 3D Gloop, Magiku, Bondtech, Slice Engineering and more. If you're in the UK and Europe, and maybe further afield too, you might want to check out their shop for your next printer upgrade. In the UK, you'll also be able to take advantage of their free shipping for orders over £50. RatRig is a company that you may not have heard of yet, but if you're into DIY 3D printers, or camera sliders, then we're going to change that today. The VCore 3 is a fully configurable CoreXY 3D printer kit. It's gone through several iterations over the years, and all the knowledge and lessons learned have been distilled into the VCore 3. MGN linear rails, low vibration idlers, robust 3030 extrusion frame, and 9mm belts are just some of the key selling points. Today, I'm looking at the 300mm cube default configuration, but it's also available in 400mm and 500mm cubes for those that like their printers big, and with lots of configuration options too. Keep watching to find out more, or if you need more details immediately, you can find the links in the video description. Right, oh, this has gone a bit weird, hasn't it? So that took me a little while to get the Mini up and running, because when you change from the Mark III profile over to the Mini profile, it switches the filament to PLA. So it happens all the time. I end up starting a print and then realizing it's PLA rather than PET. So this one's looking reasonably good though, so hopefully that comes out okay. In the meantime, I think we can probably look at a couple more of where these nuts need to be inserted, and we'll have a go with some of those. So we've got a few more areas to look at. Again, just using a longer screw to pull in nuts where we need them. I've lost chat. Where's that gone? Oh dear, it's gone. Where is it? There we go. Yeah, it does feel a bit heretical printing in orange, doesn't it? But unfortunately, that's what's available, so... 3D printing and painting. Hello and good evening. It was Streamlabs. The Streamlabs bot is OP. There's so many configuration options, it's not exactly easy to get it to do exactly what I want it to without spending hours and hours on it, so we just have to deal with the occasional hitch, I'm afraid. I feel like this is a real 3D printing live stream now. We've got actual 3D printing on the live stream. There's that air of authenticity about it. Did someone downvote? It doesn't show me the downvotes on the live panel. It only shows me the positive votes. The 29 likes that we've got. So whereabouts were we? So we were doing this. So we've got the universal front, which has a bunch of nuts to go in. So let's get going with that. This is where we've got lots of nuts to assemble in the meantime, eh? That one looks like it's going to be a bit short for doing this. That one's way too long for doing this. I could have broken some extra parts. I thought I was doing pretty good with not breaking things, but today I've broken everything. I broke the mounts in this first part, and then I've broken the blooming tensioner pieces as well. Let's at least put this in a place where you can see what I'm doing, eh? That'd be a good idea. I'm doing well. Well at breaking things, or well at fixing things that I've broken? It's the Mark III you can hear right now. Will the tilting bed in this be used for maybe printing things at different angles? No, I think we talked about this a little bit actually on the last live stream, and while there could potentially be some benefits to having that tilting bed for printing some additional overhang angles, for example, there is no slicer that has that sort of feature enabled, so there wouldn't be any way to generate G-code unless you created it yourself, which probably for most people is a little bit over the top. Are we going to be able to hold the nut in this space at the bottom? You want me to find out? I think as well as the slicer not being available, I think your benefits would be quite minimal. Because the bed, although it can tilt quite a lot relative to leveling, excuse me, I don't think it would tilt that much to give you a huge benefit in standard printing. Although, of course, there would be some benefits. Okay, so we've got some nut traps to put on here. Nut traps? What am I talking about? Belt traps. Again in green. Hoping I can poke a belt in the back after they're on. That could be a bit optimistic. Yeah, the advantage is that you can actually physically level the bed. So, of course, you can do that same sort of thing manually, but by having it automatic, you should, in theory, be able to get it much more accurate. Or I should say, much more precise. Okay. Let's find out if this one's going to be any different. Like a glove. There you go. That's pushed in nicely. That one. I'll start the other one, 16 minutes, we'll see where we get to with all these little nuts and pieces that we're inserting all over the place. Attach the front and back to the top, so that would be onto there. Attach the bottom. Looks like there's some nuts we can pre-insert on this. There are indeed. This could be quite difficult as well. Let's go with it. Yep, the newly printed part fits absolutely fine. I've not checked the belt obviously, but the nut inserts just fine. So that's the duct. There's another piece here. I don't know what it's for, but I assume it will be needed, so we're going to put some nuts in that as well. Like a glove, yep, it just fit like a glove. Assuming that you've got the right gloves, of course. If your gloves don't fit very well, then that's not a great statement to use, is it? The first one fitted like a glove that doesn't fit very well, but the second one fitted absolutely fine. Right, that's all the... oh no, two more. That's already all the way in, that's gone nicely. Okie dokie, that was a 10, yep. There's one M3 nut left. I'm guessing that one's going to be spare. Or we'll find out where it needs to go a little bit later on. For now, I think we've covered just two in there, none in there, none in that, none in that, two in there. Cool. So, I'm going to move some things out of the way and we'll start to have a look at how we can start assembling this extruder carriage thing to the rest of the frame. I'm going to have a drink. Yeah, I did two on that very first part as well. Those two in there. Even though I can skip them, they're still done. So that right should fit into there one way or another. Make sure I get those in the right way. Hopefully this second one will come out soon enough. I think maybe it helped as well because I have pressed this in while it's warm. It obviously is very slightly larger. Probably not a huge amount, but it does contract, obviously, hence warping and such. So just inserting it while warm gives you that little bit of extra wiggle room to press it in. Let's keep moving some things out of the way until we have enough space to assemble the printer up. Bicep building time. The number of times I've lifted this printer up from the floor and back is getting a bit ridiculous now. This is the downside of having a kind of small table, and obviously having to move it to do other things to make sure we get decent camera angles. Otherwise I could just like do stuff in a tiny little space, but it's just nicer having better visibility for everyone watching it now or in the future. So we're going to put these down here. That's going over there. That's going over there. Those we'll put up here. Stepper motor. Prepared parts are staying in the middle at the moment. And can go up over here as well. Tweezers, hopefully not going to need those now. Mikhail, I've heard you're a little bit of a fan of Clipper. When I picked that up from watching Sam's stream the other night. Oh, I don't want to lift this. It's so heavy. We've made it. People have been bugging me to try Clipper for probably years now. I'm going to do my best to get this visible, but it's not always the easiest. Oh dear. Goodbye to all of Mikhail's messages from this evening. Thank you for participating. I wish I knew more about how this bot works so I could fix it. The bot doesn't like Clipper. You talk about Clipper, that's it. You get muted. Hopefully this angle is going to be good enough for assembling everything. Right, so where's the thing we started with? I believe we need to put this on. Attach the top part of the carriage with 4 by M3 by 10. Of course, my nice clean piles of screws are all messed up. 3, 4. Kind of hard to assemble stuff onto a sliding carriage. For obvious reasons, it has a tendency to slide. Yeah, they don't tell you when you build these, you have to start with a 300 one, so that by the time you get to the 500, your muscles are big enough to lift it. That's the whole design plan, obviously. That was a joke, just to be clear. Yes, the green parts, all the light green parts are 3D printed. You can purchase them, and then obviously they come delivered with a kit, or you can print them yourself. It's fully open source, so all the files are there. The kit is designed to be super configurable, so there's not necessarily one way or the other, whether you should or shouldn't print them yourself. Totally up to you. If you want to print them, you can. For example, if you don't want them in PETG and you want them in ABS, for example, then you would print them yourselves, because at the moment they're being supplied in PETG. Right, we've got 2 minutes, so I know we did an add spots already, but I'm going to do another quick one to give myself a short little break, and then hopefully when I come back, the print will also be done, so we'll be ready to carry on with putting all the belts and stuff all together in here. So back in just a moment after this quick message. Well, that's 2 minutes. This live stream would not have been possible without our sponsors, Ratrig, Duet 3D and 3D Printz. The Duet 3 Mini 5 Plus balances value and performance. It's focused on small and medium-sized machines for those that want the quality and reliability of a Duet control board but don't want the high price or high power output of the full-size Duet 3 mainboard. The Mini 5 Plus provides 5 onboard drivers and the normal complement of heaters, fans, I/O, etc. There are Wi-Fi and Ethernet variants with the option of using a single board computer, like a Raspberry Pi, for control, in the same manner as you might with other Duet 3 boards. 3D Printz is a UK-based filament supplier, but in recent times have become so much more. They're now a great destination for finding name brand components from all over the world, such as the Anklabs BL Touch, Wham Bam Systems, flexible build plates, 3D Gloop, Magiku, Bondtech, Slice Engineering and more. If you're in the UK and Europe, and maybe further afield too, you might want to check out their shop for your next printer upgrade. In the UK, you'll also be able to take advantage of their free shipping for orders over £50. Ratrig is a company that you may not have heard of yet, but if you're into DIY 3D printers, or camera sliders, then we're going to change that today. The VCore 3 is a fully configurable CoreXY 3D printer kit. It's gone through several iterations over the years, and all the knowledge and lessons learned have been distilled into the VCore 3. MGN linear rails, low vibration idlers, robust 30-30 extrusion frame and 9mm belts are just some of the key selling points. Today I'm looking at the 300mm cube default configuration, but it's also available in 400mm and 500mm cubes for those that like their printers big, and with lots of configuration options too. Keep watching to find out more, or if you need more details immediately, you can find the links in the video description. Okay, the printer has finished. So hopefully we'll have the other M5 nut fit perfectly. Damn it, where's the other M5 nut? No, I've lost it. Is it still in the other part? I think it's still in the other part. Darn it. Right, out you come. There we go. That's slid in nicely. Hoping the belts are going to fit nicely into those little slots as well. Cool. So, and 3x10 screws, that's carriage. Okay, so we're on to belts now. Obviously we've got to make sure we get these up the right way. Slide the belts that are in the back of the X gantry into the tension blocks. Repeat for 2 blocks. So yes. So let's assemble. This all has to be done kind of live, doesn't it? As it were. Does that? How does that go? There's a big gap. Huh? Helico Saturn gang represent. Thank you, Marianne, for the tip. The fan goes on the back. Is the back that? No. I don't know why I'm trying to work it out. So. Oh, just what am I doing? Come on, Adam. So we got this on this side. It's not obvious what belts I'm supposed to be drawing this. Back pull the M3 nuts, assemble in the belt tensioners with the M5 nuts and pull them in. Yeah, I don't know what belts I'm supposed to be pulling in here. Let's see if we can check with the Onshape CAD. Hopefully the computer's going to run this fine. This is taking a bit longer than I expected. Hopefully cut the stream out. That goes there. And that. I think tolerance this. Yeah, it didn't like that, did it? Sorry about that. Got plastic in my mouth now. Oh, we did drill the plastic parts out as well, didn't we, before? Whoopsie daisy. Might have to do that again. Okay, should work. Yeah, I think it's because the GPU maybe is being utilized for the stream. It doesn't, it conflicts and doesn't like it. So this was this way, this was this way, that was that way. Cool, that's come through. So one side of the belt tensioner in. So this one, obviously we need teeth going in that direction. So in order to do that, that's got to be that way up. So that's going in this way. And those are fitted in absolutely wonderfully. And then that should turn, slide in there like a glove. There we go. Bob's your uncle. The audio. How are we doing now? Is the audio a bit fixed now, yeah? Just because if I... Are we good? Someone tell me we're good. Yeah, done. Is that good? Yeah, fixed, perfect. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Cool, let's get back to doing some assembly. Feel like we've not done much of that. Assemble the universal front. So we universally did that. That goes this way up. And this is the point, obviously, where we've got to cut some belts, I think, to get things the right sort of length. So I'm going to assume that these black tensioner idlers want to be at least into the end of the parts. Oops. So we've got a couple of threads at the end. Oh, that can go miles in. Maybe we want to do it a bit further then. There we go. So that should be closer to the... This one moves, this one doesn't. There we go. So that should leave adjustment in both directions of a decent amount. So if we now pull this tight, when you cut, leave some slack behind the front belt grabbers for unexpected adjustments. Okay. So this doesn't say screw it to the carriage yet, does it? No. Excellent, Unholy Mouse. Good to hear. You're welcome for the code. Time to get excited. Time for you to get excited, obviously. I'm already excited because mine is sitting right here. So which way round does this go? This bump is facing upwards. Yeah, that's fine. And the nuts go all the way through. I feel like I'm going to make a judgment call. It's going to be easier to screw it in first and then do the belts. Might be wrong, might be right. We'll find out in a minute. So I'm going to use these M3x35s and attach the carriage front and rear and then add the belts on top. Time will tell if that's a good decision or a bad one. What time are we? 9:15. Now that we have them on, this should be, there we go, now we can get a nice decent guide of where we're going to cut. So, going to get some side cutters. That's a good point, these things, how much gap do they leave for the belt to come out? None, so we need the belt to stay in that gap. So, oops, it isn't. I mean, the first cut obviously doesn't really matter. Or does it? Because the further we come with one, the more we use of the other. Does it need to be? Oh, somewhere around here. You know what? I do have decent quality side cutters as well, actually. I don't know where they are. Hidden in the back of the drawer. I think for cutting belts it doesn't really matter, but I have Nifex ones for doing electronical stuff and things like that where you want slightly better cuts. Electronical, is that even a word? So that's one belt attached. You can leave some, it's also proof, you can leave some. The light speed for now, no, it's not done yet. The mechanical assembly is getting pretty close, but electronical is a word. In which language though, that's the question. Oh, that was another crack. Obviously loads of slack in the system at the moment, but other than that, looking pretty good. Taking quite a lot of force to move the carriage. I guess as expected, we got the inertia from both the motors. Looking good though, pretty happy with that. What's the next step? Touch the bottom part. So again, mine's just in green. Oops, daisy. And fasten the front and back screws together through the bottom part with M3x35 screws. M3x35 is here. So this one we've got like a hole for the duct which goes down there by the looks of it. And this looks like that's going to go in here. It's probably this part behind it, isn't it, that's not going all the way through. There we go. And presumably I've already got some nuts that these are screwing into at the back. Very nice. If it's still taking lots of force, you may run them a few minutes. But... okay. Have we got more latency than before? Don't know. Oh, looks like some M3x12 screws from the back as well. There's no nuts for this, is there? Am I supposed to be putting... they've just gone straight through. Okay, and then we got the ducty boy that goes on top of that. They look a bit short. I think I've used the wrong length screw. How long are they supposed to be? Do I have a ruler? $12. Strange. The duct is upside down. Oh, okay. Okay, that's not going to change the screw length, is it? But thank you. Of course it was, yeah. Silly me. Looks like they could be like, I suppose 12's already, you're up to 15 if they were longer. 3mm could be a bit generous. Probably help though. Okie dokie, that's looking pretty cool, isn't it? Oh, the duct is different to the one on the images. Assemble the E3D V6 face. We do need to assemble an E3D V6 first though, don't we? Because otherwise we're not going to be able to assemble it to something else. Obviously the guide assumes that you've done that separately. And of course I haven't. So let's get these parts over here and bring this down here. Cleaned. So, do I want to get the wiring and everything out? Probably. So, for those that are not familiar with the V6 assembly process, there is a hot tightening process involved in finalizing the assembly. That may or may not be done on stream, so just in case you don't see that happen, it will have happened, you just might not see it. And it is important that you do that. There isn't any thermal compound included in the... because I didn't get a full kit for the V6. I just bought parts, so I didn't buy... in fact, I thought I did get the little... just to make sure I did have a full kit. No. Okay, so I should have some other thermal paste that should work. Should being the optimal word. So it does only need a very tiny bit, but it should be that. Ah. Yes, the V6 kit I did purchase, but I keep calling it a kit. This was not a kit. So I had some of the V6 parts already. Oh, I don't know why it doesn't focus properly. But I didn't have, I mean, the heatsink and heat break were looked like damaged and old, so I was like, well, let's get some nice new ones for the stream. And the gold heatsink was cheaper than the standard one. I do not know why, but it was. So I got the gold one instead. So there's probably a correct process for doing this, like an assembly sequence. I'm just going off whatever I remember and doing whichever I remember first. Oh golly, that's just shot out 100 miles an hour. Oh, that's really the right mess of that. So that goes in there. I kind of want it spread a bit higher up there. Oh, I've made a mess of that. So just going to try and clean this up a bit. Not really necessary to make it look super clean and tidy, but you know. Oh no, I've ended up making it look worse. There we go. And then we've got the heat block. Which way up does this go? I believe this way. So that goes in here. We need the nozzle. So I've just gone for 0.4mm nozzle because that's the standard. But obviously use whichever nozzle you feel like using. Yes, you can get higher wattage heaters. Again, because I'm trying to get the default standard everything, this is the default standard V6 heater. This is the 30 watt version. You can get a 40 watt version and perhaps even more. I almost don't want to put this on now just because it's got huge long cables that just get in the way, but I will anyway. So there's this tiny little M3 screw and an even smaller grub screw. So you've got one for the heater, and that's the M3 button head screw. Smaller. Nope. You probably can't see this super well, can you? But so just try and center that in there. Bit of tension, but not too much. And then again, the thermistor. This is the one where you have to be really careful because you're clamping directly onto the thermistor itself. So you have to be careful because if you overdo it, you'll just crush the thermistor. And it also needs a really tiny Allen key. The Allen keys, there are Allen keys included, so if you don't have fancy expensive ones or any others of your own, you can use those. Just enough to hold it in. And there you go, that's a V6 assembly. Not entirely complete because it doesn't have, it's not been heat tightened. Hot tightened? Hot tension? I don't know what the correct phrase is. Well, I probably do, just can't think of it while I'm doing a live stream. So that's what we need. So now we can carry on with more assembly of other bits. I think the V6, I see what you mean by being not great, but it's one of those staples that, because it's, I mean, it's really quite old now. If you compare it, or how good it was compared to everything else when it was new, it was bloody amazing. And obviously it's not really improved since. Well, a lot of other Hotend companies have started and created their own stuff, so there's just a lot more competition really. So we need, can you see okay, sort of, can't you, in the top left view? 6 M3 hex nuts into plastic parts should already be done. Attach M3 by 10 screws on the side, leave them loose for now, they will be used to mount a bed probe. Okie dokie dokie dokie, M3 by 10. Align the face and clamp parts over the groove mount of the V6 and fasten them together with M3 by 25 screws. What's this clamp doing? That's not labelled. Ah, okay, it's here. M3 by 8. Okay, M3 by 25. Where's the M3 by 8? 8 and 35, 25. I think with the Hemera they did get a bit unlucky. Obviously they're really pushing the boundaries and kind of unfortunate, but I'm sure they've got plenty of good stuff coming that we'll be very excited to see when it arrives. Hopefully I'll be able to get a good early scoop on that when it does. It's quite cool turning up at when the Hemera, which was originally Hermes, appeared on the show floor at TCT Birmingham, and I just turned up. I was like, "Is that new?" They were like, "Oh, that's not supposed to be." And they were like, "Oh, shall we release it today? Let's release it today. Let's talk about it." And and that created that video. So that was a good day. So you can put the BL touch mount there already. I don't think the step is not in the manual since different options, unless it might be tricky to add. Okay, thank you for the tip. So this is the BL touch mount, right? And that's the M3 by 10 screws. So we've got everything we need. Let's figure out how this goes on here. So it looks like top is here. That goes on there. Where do we want it relative to that? Looks like there. Cozy fit onto that, which is nice. You know, the biggest problem with the E3D V6 is the fact that it's entirely round and there's no way to clamp it properly without just using huge amounts of force. If there was just one flat, preferably two, it would just be much, much better. And if they don't fix that on the next version, then that will be tremendously disappointing. So M3x25s going in here. We've got a tight hole again. Let's just drill it out. Oh, don't get over carried away, Adam. Yeah, there are problems. Oh, I was expecting that to actually go into something, but it just goes straight through. Cool. And then we've got the clamp that goes on the bottom. Got to make sure I get this up the right way. Yep, that's the right way. Three by 10 screws on the side, so we'll put the BL touch mount. I guess it wants it there. So how do I... There doesn't seem to be anything to screw in at the moment. The touch mount flip upside down. Oh. Oh yeah, of course, that's way too low like that, isn't it? That way then. How's that look? I forgot which orientation. Yep, like that. That going up there. Okay, right, let's try and get it on the printer. Oh, well, we can't do that yet. We need to do this piece first, don't we? This is not going to be very easy to hot tighten. Oh no, that screws in from the back, that should be okay. Yeah, it's okay. Just going to undo this a touch. No, still. Goddamn V6. So annoying. I could have used like a the Dragon, what's it? That probably would have been easier. I don't know. It's in there somewhere. Did you screw the clamp into the universal face? It provides a third fixing point. I did indeed. That's the like claw bit right at the bottom in here. Yep. That's in. Yeah, so you've got two at the top and at the bottom that clamps around, and these two going obviously through here at some point. So those two on there, that on there. PTFE tube. Insert a 62mm PTFE tube into the V6 Hotend. 62mm. Is there a jig? Is the PTFE Hotend thermal, what's it included? Is it in the Bondtech box? Does the Bondtech come with a length of PTFE tube? Have I seen a PTFE tube? I don't know if I have. I've lost my Bondtech box here. Does the Bondtech come with PTFE, and is it long enough? It does not. Is there a piece in this box? No. Does anybody know if there should be included a length of PTFE tube, or do I need to get my own? I can't see any, and I like to think, although it might not look tidy, everything should be here. Does the V6 normally come with a length of tube? I think I'll get a piece of my own, if I can find it. I've just reorganized all my boxes. There we go. Here's a weird question. Has anyone ever cut PTFE and had it spark? About the, I know it's probably a bit off topic to talk about a different printer on a sponsor stream, but the one included with the Bear printer was quite a good jig for cutting PTFE. So if you need to borrow a design, I think that one is open source, and then it can just be adapted. Ooh, holding this is not easy. You can't see it either, can you? Just trying to hold it up against the ruler. There we go. Hopefully that's 62mm. Let's try and measure it, see what we get. accounting for the fact that it's also curved. 62.2 millimeters according to that. I'd say that's probably close enough. Let's get rid of the other bits so we don't accidentally use the wrong piece. Yeah, I've had it spark, it's bizarre. I think when you cut through it very quick, it generates enough friction, builds up a slight static charge and discharges. So do we want the extra clippy boys in the top of here? Because obviously this normally is fitted with a collet clip so that the PTFE tube won't come out. Should that be fitted for this, or should that not be fitted for this? There are some comments. Length, since Hotend is separated from drives, that's not relevant. Assemble the extruder. On the V6 side, it's constrained at the bottom with the V6 and in the top by the BMG. Well, if you're suggesting it's not needed, I'll go without it for now. Right, now we have to do Bondtech assembly. Doesn't come with instructions really, so we'll just go for it. So what does this come with? So the stepper motor comes with the kit, if you choose to buy one with the kit. It's optional. The motor you get with the kit seems to be a nice 0.9 degree one from LDO Motors. Quite well known in the 3D printing biz. That's what the cool kids call it, the biz. And then this is the Bondtech. So we need to get this assembled onto here. So there's the nut for tensioning, so we can probably put that in now. And then you get the very tiny little grub screw and the brass gear. So we're going to carefully assemble this, probably the tiniest Allen key I have. Get that just into here. And then on the D shaft, how does it say to do it? Correct way is to do it with the screw furthest away from the motor. It doesn't really say how far. So I've not actually used, I've only used these once actually, haven't I? So that doesn't pull off of there via some sort of miracle. So that's going into here, that's going into there. How on earth am I supposed to know if it's in the right place? I'm never going to know. I'm going to move this right up to the end because I think that's going to give us the best shot. So moving up to the printer now. So obviously this has got to go on here. This has got to go in here. That's got to go through here. Yes, I've got the slightly different one, you see. I thought this would be more compatible than it turns out it is. I got the Magnum version because I thought that would be okay, but it turns out it's not going to be, is it? This is not going to work. I'm going to have to switch for the Dragonfly because that tube's not going to go in there. Oh, that was a gamble and it's not paid off. Oh, I've messed that up. Okay. It's okay, you need a printed part. Okay, oh, I've got another hot end. Just solve it with more hot ends. Okie dokie, so if we go... printed parts. Oh, I downloaded the parts, didn't I? We're going EVA. Here we go. Since tip 1, the direct interface between the hot end and extruder is removed. That means there is nothing holding the PTFE tube in place. To deviate that, a BMG-M PTFE adapter part was made, which is screwed into the BMG-M that will hold the tube in place. Yes, I've got the 2 first dragons ever. OG dragons. I got this one and the high flow one. The high flow one's on a different machine at the moment. I'm going to print this adapter and we'll do this. Oh, is the 2.5? Yes, by 10mm. Ah, they're even included. So I've got the STL, so let's get the slicer back up. And it looks weird having that overlapping that. Where's this? No, this, over this. So if we delete that off of there, switch this back to the Mark III, switch this back up to 0.3, switch this to PETG, drag this jobby in here, And we've got another part ready to go. I also have a Volcano Hotend copper that I've not touched yet with a massive nozzle X on it. We want to export this code to the SD card. And then we're going to have a little short 10-minute wait. No. I hate how laggy the Prusa Mark III interface is. We're just reading an SD card, you need to try and scroll down it. There we go. Okie dokie, right. So yeah, we're printing this little green blob out now, and that will go in the blob space that we need a thing in. And the screws are even included for people like me that effed it up and bought the wrong thing. In the meantime, let's just take the tube out and we'll check that everything else assembles okay. So that would go in there, that looks good. That would go on there, that looks good. That would go on here. Okay, looks like we want the gear a little bit closer. Well, that looks pretty good. Obviously, I've taken the tube out, we'll get that in, but everything's obviously assembled fine. So that's nice. Tension. So we need a fan, attach the fan and optionally the shroud to the face part, 2 M3x25 screws and 2 M3x20s. Something tells me this cable length is not going to quite be long enough. So we probably want this coming out this way, I think. The logos of the printing has not turned out super great on this, I must say. Come on, camera, please. Just having none of it. So these screws look really long for this. Oh. Well, they looked really long, but now they're not long enough. How the hell? What length are these? 25? LED light show. Ooh. Everyone loves a bit of the old RGB. These screws are definitely not long enough. I thought they were going to be way too long, and turns out they're going to be quite long enough. Unless I picked the wrong ones. No. I don't know how many more screws we need. I'm going to grab these 35mm screws for this. It might not be the right ones, so if it isn't, I'll get some of my own. Or there might be some in spares. No, spares is for the rest of the build. Yeah, somebody else. Somebody else has said they're too short. Ratrig said they should be fine. But I'm pretty sure they are not long enough. Tell you what did I get here? 35. I've probably got some 30s. Let me grab some 30s. No. Just noticed I've cut my finger. Nice. M3 by 30. Lucky for you, they're also self-colour black. Yeah, 30 seem good. I think the 25s are literally like 1/2 a millimetre short. They're just shy of reaching that nut. I think I might have pushed the nut back in the slot. No, is that working? Yeah. Cool, I'm glad we're all agreed on that. Correct, as what we just agreed just now. PTFE tube not included, but it may be included when you buy an E3D V6. That's probably also worth checking, because some of these parts often come with kits. I checked the Bondtech kit, but I didn't buy a full E3D V6 kit, so can't be certain about that. So hex nuts, M3 by 12, and then 2 M3 by 10s. 3 M3 by 12s, 2 M3 by 10s. And the printer's finished as well now, so sand shroud. So this sits here, this sits here. Oh, cut myself and got all dirt in that. That's not pleasant. Need to clean that cut before it gets worse. So hopefully we're just about there then for today. That's going to screw into the back. Obviously, I'm going to do the... Oh, I was going to try and do everything on stream, but I was going to call it there for today. Maybe I'll do the correction at the beginning of the next stream. Got this wire to deal with now. I do like the word sans in an unusual context. I did forget to attach the probe, but I've attached the mount. So we got M3 by 25 screw and a fan. Again, this is going onto the back. What am I missing here? Designated slots for zip tying. Oh, is that on the other side? No. Oh, they're underneath. I see. So we have to go down the bottom and up the back. Where are the other zip ties? I don't have these. Where were these? What's that part? Oh, that's the part by the Hotend. I also don't have them on there. Is that a recent... Oh no, they're on the other side. Okay. So, okay. I'm not going to manage the cables now because there's obviously more cables to go in there anyway, so we'll do that with the electrical stuff. Use the M5 5mm screws to tighten the XY belts. It's important that the X country remains square after tensioning. Yeah, that's one weird thing that happens with this. If you tension them unevenly, it skews this, so obviously make sure you get that right. And attach the bed probe, so there is a step in there. So we'll get that on, and then... So this is going to be the last part today. Obviously we've got this printed part that's finished and ready to go. But I'm going to correct that next time, because obviously I've got to disassemble now some of this to get to that. And it's already 10:15, so no harm in doing it at the beginning of the next stream instead. Not great screw selection with the BL Touch. So I'll take the nuts out and use those, and then maybe there'll be some M3x8s. That's probably... Is that long enough? That's the question. I feel like it could be just long enough. Oh, and of course, the tolerance of the holes is too tight. And I can't get to the other one. Oh, darn. Are these like M2.5 or something? I don't think they fit. Yeah, I think those are M2.5 screws. That's annoying. Okay, so you would have to use the ones that come with the BL Touch, but I'm going to cheat a little bit. Oh, that doesn't fit. No, I think it's slightly colliding with the shroud. Very, very nice. And that's going to call it for the day. Let's give you, before we go, see if I can just bring the camera in a little bit closer on that beautiful looking EVA assembly. Cool. Yeah, not very easy to do. Tripod's a bit large. Tell you what's probably better, doing that. That'll make it a bit bigger. Very nice. And that's that final part that's going to correct the fact that I have the wrong type of Bondtech. So, man, I'm exhausted. That was quite a long one, that one. from Hopper 7, so nearly 3 hours. But we made good amount of progress getting that all assembled. A couple of little niggles here and there, obviously a bit of reprinting as well. But otherwise, looking pretty good. Very detailed, little compact assembly. Looks all nicely balanced and everything. Very rigid, sturdy, fairly lightweight though. Very, very good, very, very good. Looking forward to kind of finalising the setup on that. Obviously we're going to need to tighten the hot end properly. Do need to tighten the belts and make sure that alignment's not skewed. Get that PTFE tube in, otherwise it's not going to work at all. And then we're pretty much done with that, I think. So looking rather good. I know you can barely see me at the moment. Kind of too low if I stand up, too high if I sit down. I'm going to fall off the chair if I'm not careful. First in-depth ever. Sorry, I really struggle. On YouTube. Great! Welcome ever to YouTube. Pretty grand first appearance. When VCore is finished, you know you couldn't afford to pay for the time that goes into a finished machine. Yeah, how many hours has that been already? 6 streams, around 2.5 hours each. 2 6s are 12, plus half of 6 is 3, so 15 hours so far. So this, I suppose this would technically be end of the mechanical assembly. So, barring those issues, I would call it 15 hours to do that. Obviously, this has been done on stream, so doing it solo, not having to do discussion and updates and camera movements and all that kind of stuff, and obviously being able to move around the printer instead of having to sit and use it all in from one direction, you could definitely do it quicker. It would definitely be possible. So if you're concerned about the time, I wouldn't worry. You can almost certainly do it faster than that, especially if you've got a bit of experience with building. So thank you very much to everyone today for joining me. Goodness me, I appear to be quite tired. It's quite exhausting actually being in front of the lights for that long. But definitely worth it. It's been really good fun. Especially having everyone here to join me too. Oh dear. So now it's time to sign off, I think. Don't forget to leave a like before you go. Subscribe if you've been watching for 3 hours and you've not subscribed, because there'll be more of this, so you'll probably want to catch it. Lick all the buttons, yeah, definitely. Hit the lick button down below. And there's plenty more to do. Next steps will be obviously correcting a couple of the feed tube issues that we did today, and then it's onto electronics. So I'll probably do, uncharacteristically, some preparation before the next stream. We're probably going to work on doing this panel. So I've marked out all the places that we need to do any cutting on that. And I'll try and find out a way where I can do that on stream safely without hurting myself. And then we're going to have some wiring, electronics. So I've got to make sure I've got all the wiring stuff for that. So yeah, probably I won't be available next weekend for live streams. So unless there's one in the middle of the week, that won't be till the middle of next week. So it might be a little bit of a break now until the next one. But hopefully that's fine. I'm sure you'll find other things to watch on YouTube in the meantime, even if it's not the VCore assembly. Man, I'm tired. Right, thank you very much everyone. Thank you of course to the sponsors, RatRig, Duet 3D and 3D Printz for providing the parts. Very welcome. Very, very much thank you. Very thank you. And I shall see you all in the next one. Bye for now.